Duh.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chloe Hicks. I am going to be talking to you a bit today about the fundamentals of marketing. So it's a short session, more of an introductory session. Here is what we will be covering for the day. So we're going to have a look quickly at the 7 Ps of marketing. We will look a little bit about brand awareness. So we'll look at a couple of very famous brands and then talk a little bit about our own company brands. And then we're going to move on to marketing objectives and strategies. So the learning aims, what I hope you take away from this session at the end will be understanding and applying basic market principles, knowing what a brand is and understanding your own company brand, and then also understanding what marketing strategies and objectives actually are. So the first thing that I like to start off with, if possible, is an icebreaker so that we can all get to know each other a little bit better and obviously break the ice. So I have 2 truths and a lie. I don't know if everyone has done this before or if everyone sort of knows what it entails. But there's 5 of us, I think, on the session today. So we'll run through it really quickly as long as everyone is happy to get involved. So I'll start off and you can be thinking in the background about your 2 truths and 1 lie. And honestly, it can be anything. The amount of times I've done this and the crazy things that come up. So 2 truths and 1 lie. I'll tell you 3 things about myself. 2 will be true, 1 will not be true. And then you have to guess which one isn't true. Okay, so I support Arsenal Football Club. I have 2 dogs and I have 1 brother and 1 sister. So anyone want to give a go at what one was a lie there? You know nothing about me, so I take no offense.
I'd say the 1 brother and 1 sister. Maybe you have 2 of one gender instead. Maybe 2 sisters.
That's funny. No, incorrect actually. I do have 1 brother and 1 sister, but I do not have 2 dogs. I only have 1. His name is Roscoe and he is a Cocker Spaniel and he's fabulous. So does anyone else want to give it a go if they can quickly think of 2 things about themselves and 1 completely made up thing?
I could do the silly things I've done. I could go, I've fallen out a tree and broken my arm. I've been bitten by a dog, or I've been hit by a car. So 2 of
Wow.
those are true.
None of those are ideal. I'll guess that the dog bite was not true, hopefully.
No, it's the hit by a car. I still have 2 dogs though, so still love them.
Okay. No, you're not holding any grudges against
No.
dogs. Thank you. Anybody else want to have a go?
Yeah, I'll go. I've got 1 dog. I'm a world record holder, and I live in Berkshire.
Well, I know the Berkshire thing's true because I'm sure you mentioned that at the beginning. Although it sounds super impressive, I'm going to guess that the world record thing is possibly the lie.
Correct.
Oh, I was
Yes,
hoping you were going to say no and then give something really impressive then, world records.
I also have a Cocker Spaniel. Her name is Waffle, and she's currently laying out in the garden at the moment in the sunshine.
Enjoying the sun. Mine's a boy and it's Roscoe. He's also in the garden. Okay, ladies, would either of you like to go and give the 2 truths and 1 lie a go?
I'll go. I've got 1 little boy. I'm trying to think. I go on a holiday 4 times a year to Barbados. And I have 1 dog.
I love that the dog theme it seems to be running through. I don't know. Does anyone else want to guess what they think the lie is there?
Out of jealousy, I would like to say the lie is going to Barbados 4 times a year.
Yeah, I wish I did go to Barbados 4 times a year.
I think we all do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then Jamie Lee, if you want to I know it's hard when you're put on the spot to just think of things of yourself, but you can come up with anything.
Okay, so I'll keep the dog theme. So I've got 2 dogs. I have one pupil larger than the other, and I have 2 sisters.
Wow. Does somebody else want to guess which they think is the lie there?
A pupil sounds too specific, doesn't it?
Yeah. To be a lie or to be the
One
truth?
It's too specific to be a lie.
Yeah.
I think
agreed.
it's the dog.
No, so I've got 2 dogs. That's true. And my pupils are different sizes. I only have one sister.
Wow. That's a interesting fact there. I feel like I think we're all a group of dog lovers, that seems then, so good to know.
A Frenchie and a bulldog, and they're both naughty.
Oh, aren't they always?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks guys. I feel like it's always a light-hearted way to just introduce ourselves and get chatting. So moving on very quickly and getting into the real stuff. So what is marketing? Okay, and I'm sure we all have an idea of what we think marketing is, and it means different things to different people depending on your level of involvement. Some of us might say, oh, sending out social media posts. Others might do full campaigns and paid for advertising and all sorts. So it compromises a lot, but we're going to look at the exact definition here. So the process of exploring, creating and delivering value to meet the needs of a target market in terms of goods and services. So basically what that means in simple terms is selling the right stuff to the right people, pretty much. And I did definitely simplify that there. So there is something that exists called the marketing mix. Has anybody ever heard of the marketing mix?
No.
No. Okay, that's fine. That's a good thing. You'll learn something. So the marketing mix is basically also known as the 7 Ps. It was originally the 4 Ps. So the 4 Ps that you can see in black, and then somebody came along and decided that actually that wasn't quite enough. So they added the other 3 that you can see in orange there. And the 7 Ps are basically a way that when we're thinking about marketing, so when we're thinking about bringing a product or a service to the right people, these are the 7 things that we should consider. So I'm going to run through them quickly. So the product itself. So we need to think, this could be product or service, should I say. So the product itself, what are we trying to sell? What are we trying to promote? What are we trying to gain exposure for? Okay, so starting with thinking about the product. Then of course we think about the price. By thinking about the price, that might enable us to sort of think about who might be able to afford what we're selling, and it kind of leads into thinking about the people there. Before that would have been banded together as one, but now people has become its own P in its own right. The place, so the place means where you will be selling it. Are you selling through an e-commerce website? Are you selling a service in a store, for example? Are you selling via the telephone, whatever it might be? So that's the 3rd thing we need to think about. Number 4 is promotion. This is quite largely marketing focused. How are we going to promote the product that we're selling at the price we're selling it at through the place that we've decided to sell it through? So I don't know, are we going to do a 10% off for new users? Are we going to do free next day delivery? Thinking about, are there options that we can offer someone to sort of sweeten that deal and get that product out there to those people? Number 5, as I've said, is people, which sort of came out of the price aspect, because you have to think about your target audience. Are we thinking about the demographic in terms of what age they are, what gender they are? Do we want to think a bit more perhaps about the geography? Are we selling to someone way up north? Are we selling across seas? So the people are quite an important aspect to consider as well, because that could in turn affect the place you're selling through or the price you're selling at. The process is physically, how do we get what we're selling to that person, whether it's a physical product or a service, how are we going to actually get it to them? So you can't promise next day delivery if it takes X amount of days to produce this product and then X amount of days to send it. So the process itself, again, will affect some of these other P's. And then the physical evidence or the physical environment, these are things like testimonials that you might have or recommendations that might be given, things that you can use to sort of reinforce what you're trying to promote and what you're trying to sell. So there's not a right order to do these 7 Ps in, and as you will have seen as I was just explaining it, the further you get round through the 7 Ps, they might then affect one of the ones that you started with, and you have to consider all 7, but some may be more heavily considered than others at times. So developing a brand experience. Okay, so brand and experience, there are 2 separate definitions, and these were then brought together and compromised to be one overall brand experience. So we define brand as the company as perceived by the world. So this is what people think when they think of you. So when you're thinking about developing your brand, and when you're thinking about, oh, what am I going to name my company? What's my logo going to look like? What color scheme am I going to use? What's my shop store going to look like? All of these things need to come back to, what do I want someone to think of when they think of the name of my company? So that's sort of what a brand is quite generally. And then the experience describes how you live and grow. Okay, so when we put brand experience together, we define it as a type of marketing that incorporates a set of conditions created to influence the feeling. So basically, what we want someone to resonate and feel when they think of our company. This could be different things, like, for example, when you think of the company EasyJet, the color orange just automatically pops into my head. That doesn't necessarily tell me much about the company, what it does or anything like that, but just that relating that color to that company, if you're in an airport and you see that color, you instantly think of that specific brand. So the brand experience can be described as many different things, and it's broken down into what I would describe as these 5 main areas. So we have the brand design, so thinking about the logo, all the way down to the font that we might use, or the images that we might use. Then we've got the brand voice. So what does your company stand for? Are you really passionate about being eco-friendly and sustainable, for example? The user experience, also known as UX, what do we want a customer to feel once they've had an experience with the brand or with the company? The brand image, what people think of it, and then finally the customer support. So this is usually quite an important element that people want to have, to feel supported, to feel like a good customer experience when they're dealing with your brand. And that really does relate to just about every company that exists. Does anyone have any questions about brand experience here, or branding in general?
I suppose, I don't know if you've ever heard the term like subliminal messaging. You know, when you look at like a logo and then you feel a certain way, is that kind of what you're talking about? You know, when, like, say if you see a McDonald's logo and then you start feeling hungry all of a sudden.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So subliminal, sort of, that idea is where, without even telling someone something, they're already thinking it. So you're putting the idea or the voice or the feeling in someone's head. So absolutely, that's what we think with brand experience. McDonald's is an interesting one, and there's many others. Interestingly, we are going to lead on to that. So just shout them out as we go along. And start at the top, because that's how the PowerPoint will reveal the answers. Does anyone know this top one? It's a nest with some birds.
Nestle.
Exactly. You see what they did there though, right? Nestle with the nest, and and then what about the next one?
Samsung.
It is Samsung, exactly. that logo itself doesn't really tell us anything about what the brand does. You wouldn't know just by looking at that they produce mobile phones, for example. The reason that we know that logo is purely because the company is so big and reputable. Okay, next one.
Volkswagen.
Very good. What about this one?
Amazon.
Everybody shops there.
Yeah.
They do. Oh, see, now we're even bringing in slogans, and that's a whole nother ball game, slogans, but they're often really important to brands as well. So you mentioned McDonald's earlier. Anyone want to say McDonald's slogan?
I'm loving it.
There we go, even in the tune too. Nike have Just Do It, for example. Just Do It is that idea of like active, just get up and do it. I'm loving it. You're going to enjoy our food. So you're starting to see how not just a logo, but a slogan and a brand voice starts to build this whole idea of what a brand is, what it's going to provide for you. And that's what we have here. Does anyone know what this funny little guy is at the end?
Red still funny guy.
Oh, top right.
Oh, Michelin.
Yes. Next one. We've done this one.
Tom.
Yeah, McDonald's.
Yeah. Keep going, guys. Shout them out.
BMW.
Yeah.
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 YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, which is now called X.
It is. And you know what that means. Time to update my training materials. Thank you for that. Next one.
Pringles.
Pringle.
PayPal.
Yeah.
Nike.
I did give that one away, but yes. What about this
Android.
And
Kodak.
Kodak. Very good. So, not everyone always gets that one, I think, because it's not as huge as it once was.
Pepsi.
Next one. Mm-hmm.
Audi.
You're very good at this game, you are.
I like the game logo quiz.
So
I'll shut up for the rest of it.
No, carry on. You're carrying the team here. If anyone else wants to butt in, but go for it. You need to get through them.
Apple.
Google.
Google.
What about this
Adobe.
one? Very good. This one?
Unilever.
Yeah.
NCF or something. It's to do with
United Nations.
That's it. Yeah, something
United
like that.
Nations.
Yeah.
Very good. Couple more.
DreamWorks.
Burger
King.
Yeah.
Domino's.
And the almighty Domino's. Very good.
No,
So these guys are, well, controversial. These guys are all very popular, which is why we know them just purely by the logo. But it's interesting that some of them, the logo tells you a story, like DreamWorks with the moon, and it's all about, they make movies and make ideas and dream big and that sort of thing. So it's interesting to look into the reasoning behind company logos, and it can inspire you to think about your brand voice and what your logo or what your name is actually saying about your business, if it's saying anything at all. So what do you even know about your marketing strategy? So a lot of people think they've got a marketing strategy, but when you sit back and plan it, is it as good as it can be? So we're going to have a really quick look at what a marketing strategy is and what it's comprised of. So it's these things here: setting missions and goals. What do you want to get out of your marketing? What is the end goal? Establish KPIs. Does anyone know what a KPI is? What KPIs stand for?
Key performance indicator.
Love that. Yeah. Key performance indicators. We can't know if we have performed well if we don't originally know what we're going to indicate as success, right? So we have to know what success looks like to know if we've met that. Knowing your audience, so what the target audience is, assessing your current position, where am I at, where do I want to be, distributing and the market, and obviously measuring results. One of the most important key elements of marketing is measuring results. Again, we don't know if something has been a success if we don't look at the results of it. Send a social media post. What does a good number of likes look like to you? Send out an email marketing campaign. What is a good number of opens and responses that we're looking for? Okay, marketing strategy and marketing objectives are very two different things. The strategy is how you're going to get to where you want to be, and the objectives is setting out what you want to see at the end. Okay, so your marketing objectives may include things like sales volumes and values. The market size is really important to know, because it would be unrealistic to say I want to sell 1 million of my product if your target audience is only maybe 1,000 people. You are setting yourself a goal that is not achievable, and you're setting yourself up for failure. So understanding your market size and what the opportunity is really important. Your growth plans, so increasing sales or maintaining and improving your market share. Following into market share, which is what proportion of the market is controlled by one certain business, whether that's you, your competitors, market leaders. And then brand loyalty. Brand loyalty is something that we all love, which basically means someone has had such a great experience with you that they either keep coming back for more, or they recommend and refer you to someone else. So moving on to why we set objectives. Does anyone know why they set marketing objectives, if they do set any? Why that would be a good thing?
So you've got something that's measurable.
Yeah, exactly. So being able to see if something was a success by first setting an expectation to what success looks like. So setting objectives, why we do them. Firstly, it gives us focus and direction. So we're not just going, oh, I need to do a bit of that, and I think I need some of this, and becoming a bit of an erratic and doing a bit of everything. If we give ourselves focus and direction, and motivate those that are responsible, so motivating those workers that are responsible for different areas. You might have someone that manages a certain area of your marketing. It also allows the business to evaluate performance, which is sort of what you explained there. So am I able to check if the performance was what we thought it might be? Overall, to successfully evaluate performance objectives, they must be SMART. Has anyone heard of SMART objectives before? I feel like this is something, I mean, I first learned it at school, and I've used it ever since because I quite liked it. Has anyone else ever used SMART objectives in the room?
Rings a bell.
Rings a bell. That's good. That's good. If you knew it all already, you wouldn't learn anything. So rings a bell is good for me. So SMART objectives is how we split an objective into 5 smaller parts to make sure that the objective is actually achievable. So it needs to be specific, provide a clear description of what you're trying to achieve in the end. We need to be able to measure it. So we need to be able to actually see data that indicates that success, or not success, but hopefully success. Achievable. So I said this before, but set a goal that is achievable. You can't get 1 million opens on an email that you've only sent to 100 people, for example. Relevant. Make sure that it's actually relevant to what your company is trying to achieve. Otherwise, it really is just a waste of time. And then timely. So setting a realistic end date for this objective. I want to achieve this by this date. Otherwise, what happens is we push objectives back and back and back, and then slowly the importance of them fades away. So by setting a time limit to them, that tends to help. Okay, learning objectives, and what I hope that you were able to take away from this session. Can explain the function of marketing and in general what marketing is. Can explain the 7 Ps. I know we spoke through them quite quickly, so if you can name even just a few, I think that's a good place to be. Understands the importance of brand awareness and what it means to your business, and also that you know how to set objectives and doing them in a smart way, how that will benefit your business. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. I will not be offended if you don't get them all completely correct. It's fine. This one's fairly easy because we just looked at it. Who wants to tell me what the M in measurable stands for within SMART objectives? SMART. What was the M? Oh, did I just say it? I did, didn't I?
Measurable.
There we go. What about the T?
Timely.
It was timely. Okay, and then how about the 7 Ps? Who remembers if product was an original 4 or an additional in the 7?
It was an original.
Original.
It was an original.
Yeah.
Okay. Who can remember one of the elements of a marketing strategy? Or wants to guess one, hoping that it could be correct?
Audience.
Yeah, audience, very good. Getting the right target audience, exactly. We had other things like setting KPIs and goals, but target audience, well done. Final question, who wants to try to decipher what I said about brand experience and explain what it means? No pressure. Oh, I don't want to pick on someone. Anyone want to give it a go? There's
Yeah,
no
we'll give it a go. Brand experience is basically, from what you were describing, is everything including through marketing, through the promotion of it, through the people, the price, of the 7 Ps, the original 4 and the last 3. And how you sell a product, build a brand, make it reputable, have it measurable.
Yeah, very good. I think you just pretty much concluded the whole of the training in one there. So I know you were definitely listening, which is always good. But yeah, in simple terms, brand experience is what someone feels or thinks when they think of your company, but it comprises all of the things that you just listed there. So thank you for that. You have an assignment to complete. I always give an assignment at the end of training. What I would like you to do is complete this section of your marketing portfolio, which will be submitted at the end of your training, including these things. And you have an optional extension task to also include some information about your business marketing strategy and objectives. That's everything, unless anyone has any questions for me.
How long does it roughly take from a 0 to I want to be as big as Amazon, generally?
Do you know how long is a piece of string?
Yeah,
I think I'd have to answer that one with. So I can't give a definitive answer. I think that's marketing's definitely an element, but so is creativity and good business and probably a pinch of luck as well. So can't give a definitive answer to that one. So sorry.
No, that's
Thank you. Any other questions from anyone? No. All right. Thank you, everyone.